Hey guys, welcome to Mayhem Country Living, and we are live. Hope you guys are doing okay wherever it is that you are. And I'm here a few minutes late, but beg your pardon. Been doing a little bit of stuff trying to get everything organized tonight. I was going to try to do this themed again. It seemed we had a pretty good time with the theme, and I made some notes. It's preparedness related to the elderly and the handicapped. Hey Doc, what you up to, buddy? Hope you're doing all right. Um, kind of like the Saturday nights, I made a bunch of notes and put everything in an outline format. So when I get finished, I'll include all of that in the show notes. I am drinking black rifle coffee. And as the cup says, I am fine. We actually had the coffee beans. We had to order the coffee beans from Pete's, Peets. Doing good, doing good. I'm glad you're doing okay. Um, no ticks on the heart monitor or anything like that. You doing okay? Oh, to go with the bread? No, I did not. I went to two places. I went to the Sam's in Hoover, and then I went to the Sam's in. Then I went to the Walmart in Hoover. I could not find none of these, so I'm going to try a couple of the little close grocery stores and see what I can find. They're in a jar. I didn't know that. I was looking for the same can, except it said beans. Okay. Well, now I know. But everything's been going pretty good today. Yeah, the more you know. There you go. Rainy day here in deep South Alabama. Rain, rain, rain. It was crazy rain. Um, but it was, I rode up to Decatur and I picked up some equipment that I have to have, and that went well. And then I was going to a soap plant where they make dishwashing detergent, and they wouldn't let me in because it was pouring rain, and there was soap suds all over the plant because they make soap. So they bumped me, which is no big deal. It happens. You get some snow flurries. Yeah, tonight it's going down to 38. Tomorrow it's going down to 34 here. We actually have a fire going just because it's so damp. But it's, way it goes. You get some snow flurries. Okay, I'm reading. These are the notes I made, and I'll drop these down just before anybody else gets on here. Natural disasters related to the elderly and handicapped. I thought that would be applicable because Samantha's handicapped, and I know a lot of people. I think Luna Betta had mentioned about her mother. I want to say, in related to preparedness and bugging out or bugging in. We're going to do a brief overview of the importance of preparedness for natural disasters, especially for the vulnerable populations like the elderly and handicapped. Unique applications faced by the elderly and handicapped during natural disasters. I'm trying to make this official. Physical limitations and accessibility issues, increased risk of injury or harm, special medical needs and reliance on caregivers, social isolation, and lack of support network. Preparation and strategies for the elderly and handicapped, creating a personal support network, developing a customized emergency plan with caregivers and healthcare providers, stockpiling essential medications and medical equipment, identifying safe evacuation routes and shelter options, communication and alert systems for the elderly and handicapped, set up and sign up for emergency alert systems and registration for assistance, use of assistive technologies, importance of staying informed, examples of successful preparedness and response efforts, analysis of failures and areas for improvements, and then just examples and everything of what all has been done. Put this guy on charge real quick. I'll dump all this in the show notes so there won't be any problems. Be right back. There we go. I'm back. I had never really thought or considered special consideration for the elderly or handicapped outside of my own house, because I know what I would do. And I would just say, come along, let's do this. So that's, I understand. Yep. Yes, sir. Um, Sometimes I'm having a little bit of problems with my left knee. It's not as new as my right knee. My right knee is 7 years old since I had it rebuilt, but my left one's 55, and I am kind of feeling the age on that one. But I imagine it's a really scary thing for the elderly or the people who are more homebound than the rest of us. I mean, we can hop in the car or limp over to the car. I understand. Yeah, Shauna's mom's kind of the same way. She comes over a lot more now, and we take care of her. And one of the funky things that with the nursing home is they send out those alerts or ask us to call, and we call like if something's wrong, and then all of a sudden they say, "Oh no, there's no emergency per se, but you know, 3 people in the wing or the ward that she's in have tested positive for something that begins with a C, and so you know, upon unless it's an extreme emergency, no one can go in or out." That is still going on down here in Alabama, but Cocoa Puffs, absolutely, because them Cocoa Puffs can get you. So I imagine it's quite concerning, and especially someone in a demented state, they might not really know what's going on. Um, I remember BC talking about, and I know he wouldn't mind me talking about it because he's mentioned it before on his channel. Um, the use of the colostomy bags, because at one point they didn't have enough, and it was during a really bad time in Texas, and they were actually having to ration those out. So that could be a certain thing. Dang, really? Because of the stroke? Man, I'm sorry about that, Doc. I really am. Is he in the area where you are? or is he further north? Yeah, I understand. I wouldn't have thought about it myself, but BC was talking about that and the bags and the baby wipes and stuff like that. Man, I'm really sorry about that because I mean, that's just tough to get around. He's young enough; he could probably recover fairly well, though. Hopefully, knock on wood. Um, that's just tough for anybody that young. I think you said, okay, yeah, yeah, I understand, Doc. You said he was in his 30s, I think it was. Yeah, yeah, that's a dang shame. Um, I know when Shauna's mom, when she comes over, we have to go get. She's on she has emphysema, and so we have to go pick her up, and they let us borrow the oxygen concentrator, and but to travel, yeah, I could plug it in the inverter in the van, but to travel, they let us use an oxygen tank, and so that's for travel from back and forth. Let me cut this thing off. There we go. That was that was the dehumidifier. It's been running pretty good because of all the rain. But they have the concentrator for when we get here. Hey, I understand. Like you said, karma will get you. It really will. But what we always did with that was, we would transport her with oxygen tank, or that's what we do, transport her with the oxygen tank, and then when she gets out, we already have the oxygen concentrator set up and everything. But that, like an oxygen concentrator or CPAP, that's the kind of stuff you really need. One of those storage batteries that they always try to sell and talk about and everything, or just a regular old generator, or an honest to goodness, 12-volt battery backup, like I got in my truck. Just a big junk box that will do. But that's something, something to consider. Hey, dude, look at what I'm wearing. There you go. It's a Surviving in Alabama shirt. Um, all the cool kids are wearing. Hope you're doing okay, buddy. We're not doing a whole lot right here, right now. We're just kind of sitting and talking. It was quasi themed on. You made it back across the Mexican border. Good stuff. Good stuff. Well, since you made it back across the Mexican border, at least you're going to get benefits now, and free health care. And yeah, did you bring tacos? That's good, Doc. Um, but we're just talking about that kind of stuff. Prepping, bugging out, quasi sort of with dealing with elderly family members and stuff like that. It's just something I was thinking about. Bella had mentioned they just gotten her mother in a nursing home from the nursing home there, and they were having to wrangle that. And it turns out it was a lot better for them to have her there. So it's one less thing to really have to worry about when something happens during like a natural disaster or something like that. Well, I hope everything went well wherever it was that you were. How about that? It shows we got 4 people on here. Well, one of them is probably one of my minders. And hello, YouTube. And I know who the other 2 are and myself. So I think we're all good. I still haven't gotten the. Oh, that's pretty cool. I hope you had a good time. That's pretty good. That's a pretty good trip. If James still alive, I'd be concerned as I was always but a bag packed on. Mike. Hey, Mike. That's a good point because my wife's mother is a crabby old lady, and she would, or she has, always resisted any kind of movements or change, especially being, borderline dementia. You have to. It's really hard to handle that. What would you do? Where would you say you were going? And I know a lot of people, the elderly, um, they might be a quasi invalid. So you might be dealing with a walker, wheelchair, electric wheelchair. Where are you going? Do they have a ramp? Do they have, anything accessible? How's the bathroom? I mean, it's a lot of different things. Uh, just promise him you're going out for tacos. That might be something. Going to the favorite restaurant and just don't come back. I hate to say it, but I agree with you. I mean, that might be the best thing. Hey, Broken Nomad, what are you doing? We are talking about bugging out in a natural disaster with an elderly or handicapped. Thoughts and ideas. What would make it better, and what are some of the real life applications and the real life things? Hey, one day at a time. Thank you, sir. I appreciate that. Thank you very much. I am 55. It's not quite my birthday yet, but I will be 55 this year. So I lived long enough to get that discount. That's all that matters. Bring plenty of Bengay. Yeah, I understand. But um, any of the machines, the equipment, O2 tanks, AARP member, not till the 14th. I can't join until the 14th, and then I get my discount. I might get that little placard to go on my car too. That way I can park at the very front of Walmart and make everybody mad. It's the little things in life that make you happy. Um, yeah, 55. Talking about the elderly and the handicapped. I'm in it now, guys. That's one reason I've been hitting the gym so much and so often and so hard now because I just don't want to be all crippled up. So 5 days a week at the gym, and that is something. But mobility increases. Have the card, but not a member, still get the discounts. That's all that matters. You know, get the 20% off. You might as well. You live long enough, you deserve it. Another consideration for the elderly, medication. Um, that's a big thing. You got to carry, and I know like Shauna's mother has 6 or 8 that we have to bring with us and carry back. I mean, that's actually a consideration. Did they have enough? Do they have enough? Is with AARP, and it's fantastic. I'm going to have to look at that. Yeah, Mike Oliver, great idea, or a good thought. Special diets. Do they take, you know, a low iron diet or something like that? Oh, lights just went off in the greenhouse. Um, do they require, something with more fiber? I mean, is it after, the soft dinner? Do they take an Ensure or something like that? Something to consider. Do you have it where you're going? Um, do the people that you're going to, do they know what to expect? Um, that's something. And again, is their place, or is the hotel room, say you're going to a hotel room, is it handicapped accessible? Grab bars in the bathroom, all that good stuff. Is it wide enough to accommodate a wheelchair? Those are things to take a look at and check over. Um, what if you had to go to a shelter because of a natural disaster, hurricane, thunderstorm, power outage? We're not talking about anything exotic. We're just talking about life right now. Would they be able to accommodate at the shelter? Suppose they have a an assist animal, special needs pet, something like that, to go along with them. Ah, you know, would they accommodate for that? Some places might. If it is like I don't know about an emotional support animal, but honest to goodness, care animal. Speaking of disaster, your son's road flooded and he just had to wade hip deep to carry the kids across to get home. Dad gum. That's a lot of water, buddy. That can be dangerous too. Um, I'm glad everybody got across. That's a lot of water. Hip deep. That's over 3 feet. That can be, that can be a problem in crossing something like that. You take one misstep, road's washed out or something like that, you go down, and the water's pretty cool right now too. All this rain. That's something to consider. Um, he waited over there and got him over. One of the concerns is, what if it gets any deeper? Is it? Hopefully, the house is sitting up much higher, and it wouldn't be a problem. But that's always a concern. Um, okay, back to the elderly. Imagine pushing a wheelchair through that stuff. That would be terrible. Um, something to think about. And if you have people in your family, in your household, in your mag, your cohort, your cabal, whatever fancy name you want to call it, do you have a plan for them? You know, that's something to consider. Uh, you know, you do that, and they got the medications in their lap, and they lose them, they drop them. So all kinds of different things to wonder and think on, and prepare, and just what if. And you, oh, did you? Okay. I knew you had done a podcast with them, but do you have the names of the medications? That way, when you get to the shelter and you talk to one of the relief workers, hey, um, Granny's on blood pressure medication. She needs 10 milligram of anazepril, uh, benazepine, uh, blood pressure medication. Love you, tool board. Thanks, buddy. I appreciate it. You see the computers in the back that we've been messing around with that somebody didn't put up. I won't say who, but she wouldn't put them up. She was doing something. I think it was getting passwords off of them so we could do our taxes. And there they sit. I think I'm going to take them out. We don't use them anymore because they're so sketchy. Be safe, buddy. Have a good evening. And someday I'll get a nice background or something like that. And Broken Nomad, one day, whenever I get the time, I'll get you to walk me through steam press, steam pump, steam yard, steam drill. One of them, because I still can't figure that thing out. And my timer may have timed out on that. But what would you do? And I'm not saying that there's a right or wrong. Dude, I go to bed at 8 o'clock Central. I can't help it. That's how I stay so pretty, is because I look young from going to bed so early. But something to think about. Plan and prepare for those kind of things, because we always talk about taking our bug out bags and rucking that and all this. And I'm like, I don't know about that. What about getting Meemaw up the hill, or getting Peepaw down the woods to the trail? Something to think about. And I'm not saying I know all the answers. It's things to think about. Talk them over with your family. Have a plan. That's the biggest part, is just sit down and go over everything. Have a plan. We have to leave and the weather's really bad, and we're going to go to, Aunt Tyntsy's house, and she's got such and such, and we'll get in there and we can, put grandma up in the extra bedroom, and it's, you can kind of get the wheelchair in there. So it's okay. Just knowing. Good grief, man. That's a long time, though. Be careful one day at a time. Hope you're not getting too much bad weather down in your area. But this is the kind of stuff just to sit down and think while you have the time now. What are you going to do? My house is semi-handicap accessible. And, we've got 3 steps. And no one in our family is I was going to say, I think I drove 4 hours, but that was it. But in case anyone in my company is watching, I worked hard today. I should get paid double. What are you going to do? You got to have to make sure everything's accessible, because these are my mom and dad. They're in there. Dad's 80. Mom's like 76. They're in great shape. They're kicking around. But, it's something to think about. How do you get them up and down and in and out and everything? Fortunately, all the bedrooms and all the bathrooms are all on one level. And we have 2 steps going down to the living room, which is, I guess you'd call it a sunken living room. But, these things you need to think about. I've actually been debating putting in a handrail on one side going up to the kitchen, just for mom and dad. And that's like in good times. What do? You got your elderly family, power goes out. What are you going to do? Do you plan for it? Do you have something set aside? Pawpaw needs his CPAP. You got a battery backup. How long does it last? What are you going to do after that? Or, again, like we were talking about, the oxygen concentrator. These are things and I'm not saying I have the answers, but these are things to consider and think about. Just if Yeah, absolutely. That's another good one. Falls and breaks. What are you going to do? Um, you've actually moved to the safe place that you thought was safe, and because they're not familiar with the area, they're disoriented, and you know, one of them falls down, trips, breaks a femur or a hip, and then that bad situation suddenly becomes an OLJ, an oh Lordy Jesus situation, and then you have to really um, figure out what you're going to do. And I know a lot of people are going to say, we can splint it. No, you can't. Not with an elderly person. I would hate to do. I would hate to splint up my dad. I would much rather put him in an ambulance and ride with him to somewhere where the professionals can take care of it. I've got paramedics bags right here and all kinds of stuff, but I don't want to work on my mom and dad or anybody in my family. I want the professionals to do it. Doc Falcon says his bathroom is totally handicap accessible. I do have rails down the hallway. I put the ramp out back with handicap steps out front. That's fantastic, and you're probably way ahead of the curve. Um, Absolutely, Broken Nomad. Yeah, and Broken Nomad would know a great deal about this because he can I say it? Yeah, he has taught courses in wilderness medicine. Is that right? Broken Nomad, correct me if I'm wrong. Had to do that for Jane. Yeah, I understand. GFI. GFI. Okay. Um, so, these are things that you really need to consider. Okay, thank you. I wasn't sure. I was looking GFI is what are you talking about? Ground fault interrupt. We're talking about electrical work now. I was kidding. Um, and so he has an extensive background as well as you know jumping out of things, swimming under things, all that good stuff. So might have been military, might not have been, but he has a very extensive. Uh, there you go. There you go. Yeah, and wilderness medicine, emergency preparedness, all kinds of medical courses. Um, Thank you, Surviving in Alabama. I appreciate that. Yes, and you are correct because they know a lot more and above. And Broken Nomad's been on quite a few podcasts, and he's a buddy of mine, so he puts up with me and my ramblings as far as this kind of stuff goes. Uh, but these are all things to consider, and knowing what you need and knowing what you don't have, I think would go a long way in just helping you get a little bit better off because we can sit here and spitball everything, but you know until you know your Uncle Tommy needs his antipsychotics, you really don't know. Just make sure he's got them, and you're going to a safe place and where he is at ease. I mean, these are kind of things uh, that you need to address now and have a plan. Write it out. Do you have their medical information? Do you have it on a thumb drive in paper in your bag? I'd laminate it. If I had someone who was living with me that was chronically that had a chronic problem, that would be something I would do, or put it in your phone. Samantha, our daughter's handicapped. She's 33 years old. I keep all of her information in my phone, and people are going to say, "Well, that's terrible." I've got it written down also, but it's in my phone. And what are the medications? Yep, I can pull this up, and of course, it's under the name, but it's in a spot, and I can say, "Here it is, doc. This is what it is. This is this is what um, and then you can draw and feel from that. Boils down to when and if it happens, but it's gonna little things that will make it much easier. Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, does Samantha, for example, she loves her little, they're Disney figurines. We used to call them action figures. She loves those things. So if we go somewhere, those guys go in the bag, whether I have to carry them or anybody else has to carry them. Those 10 or 12 guys go in the bag wrapped up with a, whatever blanket of the week that they love or they like. And it goes with the grandkids as well. Um, what do they like? What they love? As the adults, we can get by on a whole lot less. And our day is much better if the little people under our care, or if anyone under our care, are better off or happier. Absolutely. Yeah, Doc, that's right. So, I mean, this is something that just, you know, that goes along with, you know, well, it's part of prepping. We've got the bags and everything set aside. Not that I care, not that I put much value or faith in bug out bags, but we have bags. So if we had to go somewhere and somebody was in the hospital and grab the bag, you can go and there's like a change of clothes, a charger, and a battery backup. $10 in quarters for vending machines, stuff like that. To me, that is more practical than if I have to bug out to the cabin in the woods. Eh, that'll be a whole different video. But practical preparedness for the people who are under your care that you're taking care of. That is kind of something. What do you have to travel with the oxygen concentrator? I've done that. We've tossed that in the back of the van. That's a good point. That's funny. That's a good point. Dentures, denture cleaner, polygrip, that kind of stuff. That's a good point. The container to put the stuff in, the tabs to soak them. It's pretty specific when you know what's going on. I mean, if they're doing that, then they need this and this and this, these 4 or 5 things. And it, again, some sort of routine, some sort of familial routine is probably what's going to help out and make it go a little bit smoother. I've always viewed, bug out as a place to regroup, not a permanent place. Absolutely. I agree completely, surviving in Alabama. Yes. Yeah. And in my opinion, a bug out place is, yes, to rest and recover and then, figure out what to do next and possibly go back when you're able to. Doc Falcon says hearing aids. That's a great example, Doc. I didn't even think about that. Glasses, bifocals, stuff like that. Yeah, absolutely. Canes, walkers. My grandfather, on my father's side, grandpa, he would never go anywhere, and he died of emphysema. Okay, he died when he was like 100 of emphysema. He would never go anywhere without his pipe tool, and his pouch of tobacco. You think I'm kidding? That old man would and he smoked half and half. I don't know if that's still around or anything. Half and half pipe tobacco, green and red can. And he wouldn't go anywhere. That is cloth patch or pouch, and his pipe tool, which was basically a folding pipe cleaner, and one of his good pipes. I think he went into the hospital the day he died with that stuff. That's just, at that point, you're grown. Speaking of that, some people might, if they are religious, maybe their Bible or whatever devotional book that they would want to take with them. That might be something, that gives them comfort or something, like pictures of the grandkids. There's all kinds of different things to think about on this one. It's, it's more than just the basic necessities: food, water, safety, medications. It's more than that, because, they still are in a place that they're not familiar with and they don't know about. Nicotine is a tough habit to break. I know it was hard to do. Absolutely. So these are all things to consider. And it's just, and I don't have all the answers to this. This is just something I was bringing up because I didn't know if a lot of other people have ever considered this, but it's something to think about. Who are you taking with you? Where are you going to go? What are you going to do when you get there? How are you going to keep them comfortable or happy or satiated? How are you going to take care of the people that you've been trusted with? That's, that's the thing. All the way down to are they wearing diapers? Do they need to wear diapers? You got diapers? By God, you better have some. I know that. That's something to think on. I have 5 or 6. I have half a pack of adult diapers just because of Shauna's mother. And that's just, I'll probably get another box at some point whenever I have spare money to do that, just to have on hand. It's, it's just something to think about, something to plan on, something to set aside. Anyway, guys, we're running at 45 minutes. I try not to keep you guys too long on these things. I don't ever want to talk, hour or 2 hours. Toilet paper. There you go. Yeah, absolutely, Doc. Don't forget the TP. But this is just stuff to think on, and, leave comments below if you have any ideas or anything that can make this a little bit better, more pertinent. mayhemcountryliving@gmail.com. This is the second video that we've done that was quasi-themed. And while we have not had a whole lot of people on here, I've enjoyed the people that have come by. And I've gotten some good insight as well. Just things that come back to you. Absolutely, Doc. But thanks for coming by. Thanks for hanging out. I really appreciate it, guys. Again, I'll copy all this, all the outline into the show notes, just if you want to see it and review it. Add anything to it that you want to. Again, comments below, email me. We're going to wrap it up for this evening, guys. Thanks for coming by. Thanks for hanging out. I appreciate you. Take care of you people, guys. See ya.